Good morning. Technically, it is morning.
Just barely.
Just barely.
It depends on what time zone, but we'll go with it.
We're there. This week in college hockey, we have Jess Myers in studio with me, Tony Scott. Sydney Wolf back home in St. Cloud. I don't know how this worked, but it definitely works.
It's the Granite City, you know.
It is the wonderful Granite City of St. Cloud. Actually, she's technically in Sartell, but do you consider that St. Cloud?
Do I?
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of in the mix of all the cities because my address is Sartell, but I'm on the east side, so I'm not cool enough to be in the Sartell school district. So I'm kind of a Sauk Rapids person.
Really? Are you in the Sauk Rapids school district?
I am. So, you know, I don't live in a fancy enough neighborhood to be a full Sartell person, I guess.
I haven't been there in a long time, but until I went to St. Thomas Academy, Sauk Rapids had the coldest arena I'd ever been in my life. And
it's
then,
pretty cool.
And then I went to St. Thomas Academy and Freiburger in Duluth, you know, they call it Friesburger.
Yeah.
There's some competition as to which is the most...
So Sauk Rapids is
Sauk
cold?
Rapids. Oh, my goodness. I was
Really?
there for
Sauk Rapids is cold, and so is, speaking of central Minnesota, the Richmond Ice Arena is also, last time I was there, not a warm one as well.
That's one I've always wanted to go to, the Richmond one. That just got barn written all over it, doesn't it?
It is.
I was at
quite
a USA
cool.
Hockey event at St. Thomas Academy Ice Arena one time, and my friend Dave Fisher from USA Hockey described it as cryogenic. And honest to goodness. And talking to Mark Strobel last week when I was there doing some stuff on the cadets, he even agreed. I mean, that is such a cold rink.
It is really cold. It's funny you should say that. So we run the Bantam Elite League out of that rink.
Yep.
And Todd Houck, who ran the league for us for years, he would come back in his interviews, welcome back to the ice box. And I was like, to me, it's never that cold. I just sit in that warm conference room and watch the games from there the entire time. I'm like, it's not cold to me. It looks great. It's nice and warm in here.
Smart man.
But it is cold. Whenever to go out there, like, oof, it's about a 10-minute window, and then after 10 minutes,
it's funny
over.
You brought this up with Sydney too, because Sydney, I don't know if St. Cloud is this way, but some cities, and I think of like Chicago as an example. People say, "Oh, I live in Chicago." Oh, what part of Chicago you live in? Well,
Correct.
I live in Schaumburg, and then Chicagoans get really offended, like, "Well, you don't live in Chicago, then it's like." So for us here, it's easy to just say, "I live in the Twin Cities."
Right.
But I did confuse someone once because I said, well, I live in a suburb of St. Paul. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you say a suburb of Minneapolis?
Because it's not.
Because if you're from outside this state, anytime I fly anywhere, our flight to Minneapolis will leave in 25 minutes. It's
yes.
But what about Minneapolis, St. Paul? It's like MSP. There's actually
more
letters signifying St. Paul than there are signifying Minneapolis in the designation for the airport. But for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. So she's kind of from St. Cloud then. That's what I think of.
Yeah, I'll just say St. Cloud.
When you get that surrounding area, Richmond and was it Rockton? What's the other one up there?
Rockford?
It's not Rockford.
No.
It's like there's.
What are you talking about, Rocori?
Rocori's made up of 3 school districts.
Yes, fun fact, my dad
Cold
was
Spring,
a Rocori graduate.
Rockville, thank you. Rockville and Richmond. That's what Rocori is.
My dad, Rocori graduate. Shout out.
I'm more of a Waite Park guy myself. Gritty Waite Park.
Very gritty. Yeah. Very gritty.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get gritty. I see on our list of results, you went alphabetical this week, and you did not pick the Gophers to start with. We have Bemidji State. Why did we go there, Sydney?
Oh, I don't even think I went alphabetical. I think I just wanted to mix it up so we don't start with the same teams every week.
That's good. I like it.
We may have gone north to south looking at this here because we started in Bemidji, the heart of the 2-1-8.
Maybe?
The Highway 2,
Yeah. Yep, I like it. We kind of bounce all over the place. So why don't you rattle these off, and Jess and I will pipe in as we go.
Yeah, I thought I would bring up Bemidji first because, man, it seems like every week now Bemidji is going to overtime or a shootout. And this weekend, a couple days ago, as we like to shout him out, Jared from Bemidji said it's the 6th time in the last 8 games Bemidji has gone to overtime. So they just constantly go in overtime, I guess. Kind of crazy. So I put Bemidji State splits, kind of. Because they had a shootout win over Michigan Tech Friday and an overtime loss Saturday. So technically the points are split, but kind of a strange result-wise weekend.
I would call it a split.
Yeah, I mean, they split the points. It's just odd because then it's like an overtime loss and a shootout win. So I don't even know what you call that at this point. But
anytime teams get points, I consider a split. Unless it's 5-1, then that's a sweep. 4-2 is a split. 3-3 is a split. 5-1, 1-5, in my opinion, is you got swept.
Yeah, so, I mean, the guy we always are talking about here every week, it seems like now, Adam Fleming, another goal and an assist Friday. So, obviously, that played a big role in the game. Oliver Peer had the other goal for Bemidji. He's been really good lately, too, and the shootout game winner. Neither team killing it on the power play this weekend. That kind of seems to be a CCHA trend as I was looking through box scores this weekend. Just not any amazing power plays. But for Michigan Tech, a guy who I'm not exactly sure how to say his last name, Max Koskaperdi. I think he's a European player. Game-winning goal for Tech Saturday. Riley Funk lone goal for Bemidji. I did see, though, Minnesotan Joe Prouty had an assist for Tech Saturday in the win, so shout out. And a guy we've mentioned before on the show, Owen Barskevich, in net both nights for Michigan Tech. And Bemidji kind of splitting their goalies right now. So kind of a weird weekend, and I feel like I don't know what to think about the Beavers because they're just getting so many dang ties and overtime wins and losses here.
Shout out quickly to Owen Barskevich. We've talked about him on the show before. Bounced around, former Gopher goalie. He had committed to Western Michigan, wound up going to Lindenwood last year, then follows the Lindenwood coach to Michigan Tech, so he's on his third or fourth school.
Not to mention 1 or 2 stops in the USHL, too.
Yep, USHL and NAHL. That's, right. Cool story, actually, about how Bob Motzko kind of discovered him.
He must have been watching somebody else, right?
He was watching his son, God rest his soul, Mac Motzko, who passed away a short time later. His son was playing for the New Mexico Ice Wolves. And this was a crazy story. It was during COVID. The state of New Mexico was essentially shut down. And talking to my friends who run the New Mexico Ice Wolves of the NHL, it was not easy because they had to play most of their games on the road. And then they got some special permission to play a home game, but like you couldn't have fans there, something.
Right.
But they made an exception for Bob Motzko because, number one, his son was on the team. Number two, he's a college scout. He flies out to Albuquerque to see his son Mac play.
He's the only one there.
They're playing the Wichita Falls, wherever they were.
Yeah.
Now I think the Warriors.
Oklahoma.
Then they moved to Oklahoma. But the goalie for Wichita Falls at the time is Owen Barskevich, and
he must
Bob
have done
gets
well.
on the phone and says to his assistant coaches, "Hey, we got to look at this guy." So when he played for the Gophers, the 2 years he was there, on the back of his helmet, he had recognition of Mac Motzko, because if not for Mac, he would
That's
not. That's
pretty cool.
And since I'm the college hockey historian here, it was 3 years ago this weekend that Owen Barskevich went into Michigan, where he's from, Yost Ice Arena, got both starts for the Gophers in a weird series where I think there were 7 players out with COVID or other things. That Adam Fantilli didn't play that weekend. He was, off to that freshman tear that got him the Hobie Baker Award. Michigan was so short of guys. Their third-string goalie actually dressed on defense for that game. The Gophers.
What?
The Gophers were so short of players. Get this. Jackson Lacombe, who had been a forward until he was about 14, then, obviously became a very good defenseman and now is the highest paid.
Went to play forward.
Highest paid player in Ducks history. For one shift, Bob put him at, I think it was left wing.
Was this a series where they scored a bunch of goals too?
Yeah. A weird series. And I mean, I flew out there. I'm landing in Detroit. I'm reading Twitter, and there was a scary situation. A Michigan player had been hospitalized. I'm still sitting on the plane in Detroit, and I'm thinking, there's no way they're playing this series. They're gonna cancel these games as soon as I get to the rink. Well, they wound up playing both games, but our Owen Barskevich, because Justin Close was one of the guys who had gotten sick. Aaron Huglin, I remember, was out of the lineup. Just a weird series. Owen Barskevich gets 2 wins at Yost Ice Arena that weekend. But I mentioned Jackson Lacombe, greatest shift in Gopher hockey history. He plays 1 shift on the left wing, comes down, blasts a shot, scores. They put him back on D. That was the end of his forward career. His one shift as a Gophers forward. I saw Jackson this week, by the way. He was in town to play the Wild, and is doing very well. And And like I said, signed the biggest contract in Ducks history, so good for him. Great kid.
Well, small world. I got a call from his dad today, so
nice. Chris Lacombe.
We're all connected to Jackson somehow today. So
Chris Lacombe, for people who don't know, is an agent as well as being a hockey dad.
A very highly regarded agent. Yeah. I mean, how weird is that? Now your son is, a highest paid player in Ducks history.
Yeah.
So pretty cool stuff.
Well, before we move on from the series, you guys, I just texted this to you in our group chat too, since I'm not there. But there was a good clip Jared from Bemidji posted about goal or no goal. It's a shot from Bemidji that they called a goal on the ice. But if you watch the video, I don't really think it looks like a goal. I don't know if you guys had
Did they have overnet cam on it?
Well, they show the replay, and from the replay, I don't really think I don't think it goes in, but it was called a goal and kind of crazy because I don't think it goes in. I think it goes off the post, but maybe the refs had a better view of it at the arena. I'm not sure.
I'm looking at it right now. No, I don't see a goal there. It's not clear evidence of it being over the goal line.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw that, and if anyone's curious, go look at his profile because he's got a good replay of it, and that's crazy to me because I don't think that looks like it, but maybe they have an angle we don't have. So I'm not sure. But.
Interesting debate, by the way, and this is going back 5 years or so. There's always we need more scoring. We need to get more scoring in hockey.
Right.
There was a debate 5 years ago, and I'm sure it's not dead. It'll come around again. You know how in football, if any part of the ball breaks the plane of goal line, it's a touchdown?
No.
Right now, the rule in hockey is the puck has to be completely over the goal line.
You have to see white.
There was a debate that if the puck touches the goal line, goal.
No.
I'm fine with it, other than the fact that every scoring record is then out the window.
It'll be 17-16.
Yeah. Crazy.
I don't know about that high, but
the puck hits the goal line a lot.
Yeah,
my kids
30 times.
My kids play lacrosse. I'm used to 17-16. That's a good game.
No thanks.
No
thanks. Although not related but related, yesterday with 30 seconds left in the Blue Ox final, the best player on Moorhead, point blank shot on the best goalie in the state. Goalie catches it like right under his arm, shoulder, and that thing. Have there been overhead cam? There's a chance that could have been. It was that close. From my angle, it didn't look like it was a goal, but man, was that a nail biter at the end.
Oh, what a game!
It's a great game. So
there's a famous story. So we're going to talk about Lake State next. So this is a segue.
For sure.
Here we go.
Lake Superior State, I want to say 1990, maybe 91, 92.
I'm here for this. These were the good
college
teams.
Hockey playoffs.
We weren't even born, Sydney.
Yeah. My mic just went up for some reason. But anyway. Oh, there I am. I'm back.
Did you turn him off for a second?
NCAA playoffs, and this is before there were replays or reviews or anything like that. The call on the ice was the call.
Yes.
Lake State is in a NCAA playoff game, close game.
But not the Frozen Four.
No. I think it was a regional final.
All right.
And I don't remember the name of the goalie. Could have been Blaine Locker. Could have been, Darren Madeley. Some of the Lake State goalies from that era. The puck shot by the other team is covered right to the brink of going over the goal line.
Yeah.
They call no goal on the ice. Okay. Controversial to this day because if it was in, the other team would have taken the lead. Blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
Revisionist history. After the game, great line. They asked the goalie, was the puck over the line? The Lake State goalie, was the puck over the line? He said, I don't think all of it was over the line. And the follow-up question was, how much of the puck wasn't over the goal line? And his answer was the little raised bumps that say made in Czechoslovakia. That part didn't go over the line. It's a legendary story in Lake State hockey history.
So that's not maybe this is too early. No, that's Derek Herlovsky would have come later in the Lake State goaltender. No, he was BU.
Derek Herlovsky played at BU.
Sorry, but they played Lake State in the finals.
In the national championship game.
I confused my goalies.
In 1994
the Civic
in St. Paul, 9-1 win by the Lakers. Not a tight game.
Yeah.
Another great quote, as long as we're talking Lake State here.
Early 90s.
Jack
Parker.
Hockey. Jack Parker, legendary BU coach who went into the Hockey Hall of Fame last week, by the way. Congratulations, Jack. Well-deserved honor. It was like 7-1 after 2 periods, and then Lake State scored 2 more in the third. Well, after the game, someone said, "Jack, are you upset with your team?" He said, "No, I had the whole third period to get over it."
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Knew what the outcome was going to be.
It's over. That was Mike Greer was on that team, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I remember that guy. He was so scary. Isn't he the GM of the Sharks now?
GM of the Sharks now. Massive human being,
African
American, which
so scary.
Is increasingly common.
Didn't matter his color of his skin. He was just a scary human.
In 1994, having a massive African American guy on a college hockey team was a lot more rare than it is today.
Yeah, he definitely stood out. But no matter what, he could have been blonde and he was scary because he was so big. And
he was a Hobie finalist.
So
the next
fast.
year. Yeah.
So fast.
There's a picture of him rubbing out one of the Gophers. I want to say Bobby Dustin.
Ooh, I know Bobby.
And like the Gophers' legs, skates, and torso are parallel to the top of the boards.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was crazy. All right.
As always, Sydney needs to get us back on track.
Yes, Sydney, do that, please.
Sure, I will get things back on track here. Like we said, speaking of Lake State, Minnesota State sweeps for the most part. Lake Superior State, 2-1 overtime win Friday, 4-2 dub on Saturday. Minnesota and Evan Murr, both of the goals on Friday, so that's super awesome.
From the blue line. Evan Bushy, another Minnesotan for Lake State here, had an assist in both games. And Luke Lewandowski, another Minnesotan, scored for the Lakers on Saturday. Again, not great power plays for CCHA teams, as both teams, I believe, were 0 for 7. So CCHA needs to do something about the power play, unless their penalty kills are just so good. I don't know. But Minnesota State keeps on keeping on, doing pretty well. Obviously, Lake State, not the toughest team out there, but 2 wins there. And, Lake State does get a point for overtime, but Mankato gets it. I think Commissioner Don Lucia should enact the touches goal line equals goal at this point.
Only for the
CCHA only. Isn't it WCHA women's rule where they can touch the puck above their shoulders?
WCHA is unlimited high sticking this year in conference games only.
For women's. Yes.
Yep,
what? Which I have my own take on that, but we can save that for another day. Why does that a rule?
So they clear the puck.
Sweet. It's awesome.
Put your stick up in the air.
Absolutely. Like, if you're skilled enough, why not? I think the only reason you could make a case why you wouldn't get rid of the rule is maybe for safety. Like, you're getting your sticks too high all the time.
But in college hockey, everybody wears full cages anyway. So
that's my point.
Yeah.
Do you see a reason why you should? Why? I think it's cool if you can knock it out of the air into the net. Why shouldn't you?
That's a good point.
Why?
I had never considered that before, but you're absolutely right. You got a stick in your hand.
You got a stick in your hand, and you're skilled enough to do it.
Here's my question, though, because I mentioned lacrosse earlier. Then, does hockey become lacrosse where players at different positions have differing length of sticks?
Ooh, no, I don't think so.
If you're a defenseman, can you have a stick that's 12 feet long?
If you can stick handle with it, why not?
Well,
yeah.
You can't. You don't stick handle in lacrosse.
No,
I would say the defender's stick currently is probably average longer than a forward stick.
Did you hear that, by the way? My mind just went blown.
Well,
by this whole concept.
You thought it over? You're like, oh, yeah.
I've thought of this for a couple of years now, but I've been too afraid to get just
It's like my only defense of it would be that, like, it's been the rule the whole time.
Well, it's like the power play rule. I think it's a stupid rule, too, where you get to ice the puck. Why?
See the Princeton jersey?
Why?
Right here? See the Princeton jersey?
This guy right here.
Hobie Baker era?
He just turned over his grade.
My favorite...
He's spinning.
He's spinning in his grave right now.
My favorite change in the game of hockey in Hobie Baker's era, in the 100 and plus years ago, in the 19-teens, as it was originally played, the game of hockey.
I'm afraid.
I don't know if you knew this. You were not allowed to pass the puck forward. You had to skate the puck forward. You could drop pass to a teammate.
What?
But passing the puck forward was against the rules of hockey. Crazy thought. Think about it.
We are off the rails. I'm going to take it even further off the rails.
Okay, here we go.
I was one of the Alm brothers, the famous Alm brothers from Minneapolis South. One of them was the Zam driver at Bloomington Ice Garden, and I got to chat with him about something. And he goes, yeah, when we played outside, and we get a lead, and the clock would be running. we were so much better than everybody else. They had Jim Westby and all those guys, right?
Sure.
And he goes, we would get a lead if it was close. The other teams would just shovel the puck into the snowbanks all day, and we'd be looking for the puck in the snowbanks. And I go, how long are the games? He goes, well, there were 10-minute periods. I'm like, the scores were like 1-0, 2-1 the whole time. But the point being, like, what a different game it was when you're talking about Hobie Baker.
Doug Woog had a great line about learning to play the game on outdoor rinks with no boards.
No boards.
No, he said, you had
snowbanks
and
in an official game without boards.
No, but just learning to play the game in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But he said, you would take a huge risk if you raised the puck because if it went out of the perimeter, it was your job to go find it.
Dig it.
And his great line was, he said, if there was a lot of snow, you might be gone for a week.
Dig it. Yeah. Oh, I dug a lot of pucks.
And you're crawling on your hands and knees trying to preserve your blades, digging through snow, trying to find the puck.
Yep.
Skates are full of snow.
Yep. Dig it. I agree. All right, we are back, Sydney, from that Rax ditch off the rails.
Definitely, yeah, a little off the rails, but that's okay. We like to go off the rails on the pod. Always fun. Might as well just keep it going here. North Dakota played Arizona State. I don't know about you guys, but I wasn't really sure what to think about Arizona State going into this game because they were really good last year, but
I'm still not.
I'm just not sold on them this year. I think they got some things they need to work through. But North Dakota does split with them. It's a 5-2 win Friday and a 4-2 loss Saturday. Zellers had 2 goals Friday. Strinden, Kroll scored for UND. Lucius scored for Arizona State. So a lot of familiar names. But Tony, I know you hate shots on goal, but North Dakota kind of wildly outshot them, it looks like, in both games. So a little surprised Saturday that the Sun Devils get the win. Shimmick and Potter both score against Strinden. Keeps scoring. He's been really good lately. But it looks like Arizona State's goalie Saturday played a really good game and stopped 39 of 41, so that's pretty crazy.
Best side story from this game. We talked about this a little bit last week. These are fan bases that travel.
Yeah.
A lot of North Dakota fans went down to Tempe last year because get away from winter in North Dakota and go spend some time in the sunshine. There were actually a fair amount of Arizona State fans that made the trip to Grand Forks this weekend. And let's face it,
it's kind of Mecca, right?
Kind of Mecca. You've heard a lot about the Ralph.
Yeah.
It's a program with great history and tradition. And Grand Forks is not a place you go for scenery or weather, but people are great there.
But if you're going to go in mid-November versus December or January, right?
Yeah. So the people there are generally nice. There's some good restaurants, all of that. So this was the best story, and our friend Brad Schlossman wrote about this. Friday night's game at the Ralph, and they have these big club areas where there's, buffets.
Yes.
Very, very Vegas style. Ralph Engelstad's background. He was a casino magnate. You can buy a cocktail there. You can get an intoxicating beverage. Apparently, a Arizona State fan with obviously some fiscal resources picked up the tab at one of the club rooms at the Ralph that night to the tune of about $7,000.
Really?
Just said, hey, it's on me tonight, guys. Go Sun Devils.
That's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I was just there. I was there for the section final at 8A section final last year, East Grand World game. And so I ran over and did a quick interview with Dane. And now that you mention it, I've been there several times and never dawned on me. Now that you mention it, it is a little bit of Vegas feel to the whole place.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Never thought of that until you just said that.
My mother, God rest her soul, was fascinated by Las Vegas and just the whole, aura of it. The first time she went to the Ralph, she said, it's like walking into a casino, shiny, bright mirrors everywhere, all that. Definitely has that.
I never thought of that.
That's a good.
That is your hottest take of the day right there. I like that.
All
one.
right,
you've had a lot of them too. That's a good one.
We have a winner.
How about Ben Strinden? I mean, loses his father. Like the whole deal. It's just he's just playing he's having an out of body season this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Super cool. Super cool.
And Sydney, you talked about not really knowing what to expect from Arizona State. I think I may have used this term already. Island of misfit toys. I mean, it seems like it's one of these places where, you look at Cruz Lucius, for example, had a good start at Wisconsin, was originally committed to Minnesota, all of that. He winds up there. Potter, a guy who was committed to Michigan State, he winds up there. It's like, and that's not a rip on Greg Powers and his program. I mean, they've made a real college hockey program in the middle of the flippin' desert and with a great rink and all of that. So it's not a criticism in any way. It's just a place where, you don't have a ton of local talent to recruit. You're going to have to go out and find guys. It's a place. Why would you not want to live there in the winter?
Right.
Great school, reputation as a party school, but hey, nothing wrong with that. So good for them.
I love it. There is no formula, right?
Right.
And Coach Powers is definitely doing some of the right things, that's for sure.
And to Greg Powers' credit, too, and, he and I have become friends over the years. Let's face it, 10 years ago, whatever it was, 12 years ago, when they announced, okay, we're going to have Division I hockey here, number one, it's like, okay, how's that going to work? And then number two, and the guy who coaches the club team
is the head coach.
We're just going to promote him to be a Division I
unheard of
head
decision.
Coach. And, not to be a naysayer, but I can't be the only one who thought, oh my goodness, how's this going to work? How is that going to work, and for how long before they realize, okay, we need to go out and get Greg, I apologize, I love you, you're a friend, a quote unquote real coach, but what they have done there, starting a program from scratch, good club program, but that only gets you so far. Is simply amazing. So
I would use that term to describe Greg Powers. Is what he's done is amazing there, for sure, and great for hockey.
Great Greg Powers moment, by the way. They're playing the Gophers. This is like 2021 during the pandemic. And honest to goodness, I should write a book about this. But that entire season, Arizona State was on the road the whole year.
Yep.
They got one home game or one or two, and it was like the U.S. under-18 team came out to Tempe and played a home game. Right. They spent that entire season on the road playing Big Ten teams. Just amazing that they survived all of that. But ahead of one of those games against the Gophers, we get Greg Powers on a Zoom. Their sports information people, we'll set up a Zoom with him at this particular time. Greg calls us on the Zoom. He's in his car, you can see. And he's driving down the street, and all you can see out the sunroof of his car are palm trees. And this is like January 2nd.
He's doing a Zoom in a car?
Yeah. As he's driving his, Tesla or whatever in the sunshine in Tempe.
That's insane.
It's like that wasn't an accident. That visual was well planned out. So
I like that. That's scrappy.
So good for him.
All right, Sydney, we got our USHL moment here in the pod. You guys had a lot to talk about last week on the junior pod. Why don't you give us a quick excerpt? I know a few players are leaving the USHL to come back to high school hockey, and there was some news about the we talked a little bit about it last week. We talked about the USHL becoming part of the CHL and maybe a North American pact or something like that. What else is going on?
Yeah, we're going to have a fun show this week. There was a lot of stuff this weekend that happened. So if you want some USHL news, make sure to tune into our next pod. I know Joey Means has been texting me too because he's always listening to him, and I can tell when he gets to the funny parts because we get kind of unhinged sometimes on the show. So it's a lot of fun. But some recent things we'll talk about is Minnesotan Zach Wooten splits Maine to Wisconsin. It looks like the Gary twins are back on the market now, so that was kind of a big one. And just some other, players doing well and stuff like that. So we're going to have a lot to talk about on the show this week, and just some standout players. And Drew Steele obviously always has really good inside information for us as well about the USHL.
It's fantastic to have him. What's interesting is like now we have a forum, right, for the Gary twins, because it's not like we're going to go on the internet. I rarely go on the internet and go, look at Jim Smith is no longer on there. I think we did it when Cole Bumgardner, his name came off of the line chart with his North Dakota. Not because we were calling out Cole, but it was like he's such a big name player. I thought it was newsworthy to post that he was out there. But like now with the junior pod and with thanks to the USHL and helping us put on this junior pod, it's a fantastic spot for you guys to talk about the Gary twins, because I think the Gary twins still have a lot to offer for a college hockey program out there.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty good, and there's been a couple of guys for Sioux City, too, who look like they're, looking for new places too, like Minnesota and Dallas View. I know it was Penn State, and this season he doesn't have a logo next to his name. So Sioux City's got some good guys recently that will be trying to find new commitments. And Luke Gary's actually got almost a point per game. He's second in points right now, and I think Gavin is injured. But yeah, we'll have a ton to talk about on the pod this week.
Well, thank you to the USHL for bringing us today's podcast as well. Let's move on to the Gophers.
Yeah, before we quick move to the Gophers, I was going to say, too, I know North Dakota Saturday when they lost, according to Schloss, Ellis Brickwood was out with an injury, and then Jack Kernan and Josh Zakreski were still out with injuries as well. So it sounds like they had a couple guys out Saturday, which might have, played a role in that. But Minnesota, again, a weird weekend. I still don't get what's going on with the Gophers. We were hoping after Notre Dame last week that this would have been, maybe not necessarily an easy week, but kind of a week where you could pick up 2 much-needed wins. But they come out Friday and they lose 6-2, and then they win 6-3 Saturday. So again, not necessarily dunking on Long Island or anything. I just put in our show rundown okay. I don't even really know what to think of the Gophers at this point. And it's kind of strange because I saw a lot of Gopher fans, and I don't know if you guys were watching the game, that said they did not like the game at all Friday. And then I heard in post-game comments or passing or whatever that the team didn't think they played that bad Friday, but they lost 6-2. So I don't really know what the disconnect is. Special teams is struggling, but kind of another weird weekend for Minnesota.
I didn't watch all of this game. I watched some of this game, the Friday night game, the disaster. And let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not being hyperbolic here. With a loss like this on their record, this Gopher team will have to win the Big Ten tournament to get into the NCAA tournament.
Yes.
It's that simple. Bob Motzko's first season at the helm of the Gophers, they almost won the Big Ten regular season, but they were kept out of the NCAA tournament based on 2 losses. They lost to Ferris State at home. They lost to St. Lawrence at home. Those 2 losses alone will knock you out of the mathematical formula to get in the NCAA tournament. With a loss to Long Island on your record at home, you got to win the Big Ten tournament.
Computer's not going to like it.
Yeah.
Although, I will argue, again, I don't think it's going to happen, but statistically, they have enough Big Ten games on their record, on their schedule, where they can get really healthy really quick with some wins over the Michigans, for example.
Absolutely.
There's 8 games with Michigan left and Penn State. They can still get pretty healthy, but the way they've played to date, Jess, there is no chance they're going to get points against the Michigans. They're going to get some crumbs against the Michigans, but they're not going to get 4 points, 5 points, 6 points against the Michigan team this year. Do you?
No, I don't think so. And watching that game Friday, okay, they're down 3-1, second period, I think it was, maybe third. They're down 3-1, but 3-1's not insurmountable.
Yeah.
This team has struggled scoring goals, but you're asking them to score 4. Well, that's again not a real, a crazy idea. You score 4 goals in a home game. I think it was Paulson gets a wide open puck right in front of the net. Okay, boom, he's going to score here. It's going to be 3-2. We're back in the game. Goalie makes an unbelievable glove save, first of all. So it's still 3-1. And literally on the same play, a kid from from Long Island grabs
Lake State
grabs the rebound. I'm thinking other blue and gold teams.
Yeah.
Grabs the rebound and from beyond the far blue line just fires it down and it goes in the net. And like that, instead of 3-2, it's over. 4-1. You don't come back from that. That's in your head. That kills you. Riley, the coach at Long Island.
Which Riley? We don't know.
Yeah, one of the 28 Rileys.
11 Rileys, yeah.
I put this on Twitter. I love this. After the game, does a little interview with their social media team, whatever.
Yeah.
This has to be the biggest win to this point in the history of Long Island hockey. And granted, the program's been around less than 10 years. But going into Minnesota and getting a win has got to be your biggest win in your program's history to this point. And the first thing he says in the interview is, we're going to have to play a lot better tomorrow night. Wow, dude.
Really?
Go to,
have a drink.
Go to Sally's.
Celebrate.
Have a Coors Light.
Enjoy it.
Celebrate for just a minute.
You just got a glimpse into what the Rileys look like.
The other thing I'll point out, and I put this on social media as well. We have to fire Bob Motzko immediately.
Well, I think we should.
We have to make a change mid-season right now. Before World Juniors, we have to fire Bob Motzko. This program is in shambles.
Yeah, I think
this
we
program
should fire him.
that I think it was 8 months ago they won a Big Ten title.
Yeah.
People knock it off. Stop it.
It's just boredom, Jess.
Yeah.
It's just boredom.
Yep.
They're just bored.
And that 22-23 team, which to date is the greatest hockey team I've covered in terms of talent.
Really?
They lost a game in October at Ohio State, just a lifeless game. And oh boy, yeah, this team's done. This whole program's in shambles. Nothing's good. Knock it off. But in all seriousness, I said this: Bob Motzko's not going to get fired. Stop it. It's not going to happen.
I mean, if he went 0 for the Big Ten, he could get fired, but he's not.
Yeah. With all of that said, and I know Bob very well, having covered the Gophers as closely as I did. He was always gracious to me. I was allowed to fly on the team plane under certain circumstances. All of that.
What were the circumstances?
Well, the agreement was anything you see on the plane, anything you hear on the plane is off the record.
Oh, is that how it works? That's pretty cool.
So, for example,
I think I'm going to get to go on the St. Cloud plane to Arizona.
Cool.
So that's why I'm wondering how that works.
I can tell the story now 5 years later, but Tyler Nanny leaves a game early.
Right.
He gets on the plane wearing it with his arm in a sling. I can't go on social media and say Tyler Nanny has his arm in a sling, stuff like that.
Right,
because
yeah.
that's a level of access that you don't normally get.
Correct.
Back to my point. Bob Motzko, knowing him as well as I do, he has made it clear he's not going to be Red Berenson. He's not going to be coaching college hockey at 75 or whatever Red was before he hung it up. He loves what he's doing. He loves coaching. That's his whole life, being a coach. He's had incredible success as a head coach at the college level, but it's not what he wants to do until somebody pushes him out the door. And I said this on social media. He turned 65 in March. I'm not saying he's going to retire at the end of the season. I am saying 5 years from now, I don't see Bob Motzko coaching any college hockey program.
I think Bob looks as good as he's ever physically looks as good as he's ever looked in the last.
Lost some weight.
I think he looks
gets out
great.
there. He walks a ton and stuff.
Yeah.
He's in good shape physically. And I asked him this summer, same question. I said, how many more years do you want to do this? And he didn't give me a number, but he did say to me this summer, I feel good. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It seems to be working. As long as all of that keeps up, there's no reason for me to walk away. Now, you can make the argument this is a tough season. This stuff, stuff that has worked in the past is not working this year, but I guess that's kind of the cyclical nature of college sports is that you start,
especially college hockey. I mean, there's always a little ebb and a flow. I think this is their downward, but I think they'll be back very soon. I mean, just how many good players they have coming in. The recruiting has not changed. It continues to do well, so.
But if you want to break down as to what's gone wrong this year, you haven't found a top line, I would argue. You haven't found that line that you say, these are the three guys we put on the ice when we need a goal.
Yep.
You haven't had one group or one individual step up and say, I want the puck on my stick when we need a goal.
Yep.
And get that done. And then, the goaltending hasn't been good enough. I mean,
speaking of goaltending, you see Luca was in here this week with Olivia King.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Sitting right where you're sitting. I think it's kind of cool.
And Luca DePasqua coming off being, one of the Big Ten 3-stars of the week. He didn't have a good game against Long Island. I mean, that's
facts are facts.
Facts are facts. Didn't have a good game. It's very rare that you will see Bob Motzko point out, I needed more from my goalie tonight. I've seen him do it a few times, but that was part of the story. Right. You give up 6 goals to anybody. You need to. So
now you're sitting in that chair. When are you going to give up 6 goals anytime soon, Jess?
If I only gave up 6 goals, that would be the biggest day
That'd be
of
good.
my life.
If Jess is in net, there might be bigger problems.
Yeah.
I think we can get some views.
Jess, I should
say. Me going 1-on-1 with Jess.
Oh boy,
I own
Bloomington Ice Garden. We just go 10 shots.
How is the new Bloomington Ice Garden, by the way?
It's amazing.
Been in there.
I think it's amazing myself, but I'm a Bloomingtonian, and that's one of my favorite barns. And do you like it, Ryan? You grew up there.
You don't need my opinions on anything Jefferson or Bloomington.
So you like it?
Of course.
Oh, I do too.
I actually
like it
played.
I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen it fully complete.
To this day, every time I walk into Braemar Arena, I actually played in the state bantam tournament
at Braemar West.
At Braemar, back
Cool.
when Braemar was a one-sheet facility, 1984 state bantam tournament.
Wow.
One sheet.
Bloomington Kennedy, Warroad against Bloomington Kennedy, and out of mercy in a game we were losing 7-0.
That is so cool.
Bill Christian, my coach.
That's even cooler, but
way cooler. So I could say
way
one day,
cooler. I don't know how we got to Billy Christian, but I'm here for this content.
Billy Christian is the reason I have the career I have. We can get into that story some other day, but down 7-0 to that Kennedy team. We talked about him off the air. Just a wagon of a team.
Yeah.
4 minutes left in the game. Billy says, "Put your helmet on. Time to go."
You going in?
I'm going in. Just so I could say I played in the state tournament. It went poorly. I'll put it that way.
I love it.
Played 4 minutes, allowed 4 goals.
Uh-oh.
Final was 11-0. You know, it's not like I lost us the game.
No.
But to this day, I could say played it. But every time I walk into Braemar, I get a little jumpy.
We are definitely off the rails, but now you've brought me back about 3-4 years ago. You remember those Shogabake, Pilgrim, Brian Lund, all those kids are playing in a state semifinal against Shakopee, who is playing all those guys with Simpson, and those kids are on the team in a state semifinal. It got unhinged. And I'll just say this. I won't name any names, but members of the high school coaching staff were not very pleased with the officiating. That's all I will say about that game. And it takes me back. And for some reason, I get warm and fuzzies about it because it was such an awesome atmosphere in that place. And Warroad ended up beating Shakopee, but I believe they lost. Yes, they lost to Eastside in the finals in the state tournament, which is the most Class A boys Warroad, Bantam A, Eastside title you'll ever see. So.
Fantastic.
All right, let's. Do we have any more Gophers to talk about, or can we move on to UMD?
I was just going to mention like I said, special teams not doing great. The power play is not great, and the penalty kill for the Gophers is currently second to worst in the nation. So not killing it.
Second to worst.
Yep, only worst is.
What's
Murphy.
Killer doing, huh? What is Killer doing?
Jess. Know.
He's the special teams guru.
He's the mad genius.
He is.
Steve Miller, the killer. Yeah,
Killer is.
Some people call him the Space Cowboy.
Some do. I would say the highlights for two highlights. I want to have Ryan talk about for a second. Highlight number 1: Teddy Townsend gets his first collegiate goal. I don't even care about the goal. What I care most about is the smile on his face when I watched the video was priceless.
Welcome back, Teddy.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
On the ice. Yep.
That was awesome. That was the best part of it. Gave me the chills. And then Ryan, tell me about the Instagram post or lack of post from the University of Minnesota team after Friday's game.
Just something I noticed, maybe just the younger generation who it's always on social media. The Gophers, like any other college team, posts the pregame tweet as well as the postgame tweet. So if you're not watching the game, you can figure out what's going on, what was the score. Conveniently, Friday night, the college, I don't know what you want to call it, intern didn't seem to post the final score. And then they did Saturday night for the win, and the comments were like, "Oh, one-game series with Long Island. Congrats. One-game sweep." So,
and I mentioned this off the air. This is not a Gopher issue.
No.
You know, I follow the Los Angeles Dodgers on Instagram. They don't post the score of games they lose.
That's crazy.
They don't lose a lot of games.
That's like about 50 times a year. No big deal.
But knock it off. You know, win or lose, people deserve to know how you did it. And again, I feel bad for anyone who's getting all of their Gopher hockey news from Instagram, but you know, it's okay.
Who makes that decision? Is that
That's
a
what I
Scott
was
Slark's
thinking.
Is that a Bob Motzko decision?
I
Is
don't
that
know. I don't.
a Mark
I don't
Coyle
think that's
decision?
no.
Somewhere in there, one of those three people makes that decision.
Let me say this: if a member of the coaching staff is making those decisions, this program has bigger problems than I thought. Because I mean, you should have bigger fish to fry than what goes out on Instagram.
I'm just curious. Let's put a poll out there. Whose decision is that?
I'm gonna guess it's like a Gopher sports marketing group that oversees.
So it's not the SID?
I don't think so. No.
I would
now at some schools, the SID is also in charge of the social media.
Correct.
I don't think that's the case with Scott Slarks.
I have no idea, and I'm not calling out Scott. I'm just saying who decides to do this. You know, I mean, isn't it the SID? Isn't it their problem to get the information out?
In fairness, could have been a one-off. Could have been a mistake.
The Wild would do it too.
Really, they don't post the L?
Once in a while.
They post the L?
Not every time. So
really?
Yeah, I could, I mean, when I'm there at the rinks, most of the time, somebody's like, they're just students, you know, it's kind of the Brad Rempel and the crew that's running everything. So my thought is it could be a student that runs it.
Could be.
And they could be in their room, you know, in the media room, and they're like, should we post this? And they're probably just all like,
grand scheme of
maybe
things,
not.
Win or lose, post the score.
Yeah.
People deserve to know.
Yep.
I agree with that. All right, we're moving on to the UMD Bulldogs. They didn't have a great weekend either. Thank you, Jess, for the donation to the wall.
A donation from my personal collection here added to the Great Wall.
Beautiful.
We've added Princeton, we've added UMD, and I have an evenings full of work.
Hey, how about this? Princeton and UMD, the two schools, two college hockey
Where are we
programs
going with this?
most closely associated with Hobie Baker. He played at one, and UMD has the most Hobie Baker awards.
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. And the front runner for this year?
Am I wrong?
Oh,
and the front runner.
You know what? When it's true, you can't be.
Yeah,
it's true.
It ain't bragging if you can back it up.
I agree.
We got to talk about that MSU jersey, too. We forgot to mention that. That one is beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I got the Shane Joseph one, too.
That thing is
mean. I love that one. That's a jewel.
What era? What year is that?
Early 2000s.
Okay.
You could probably tell me a story about how Shane Joseph
Troy Judding
knocked the post off.
Funny enough, I was in Mankato in 04.
Troy Judding era, early era of their life as a
D1
Division I program.
Yeah.
They should bring those back. Those are sweet.
I don't really like it that much. I like the back better than the front. Shane and I coach our Team Minnesota program. His daughter Addie's on the team, and he's two-time All-American, but more impressively to me is how well he can coach the game and communicate with people. He's a great man, and we're lucky to have him in our Team Minnesota, and I'm lucky to get his jersey.
That bowl could be a good shoulder patch.
It would be a good patch. I
don't think I've seen it.
We'll get to them.
The great Mavericks jersey, by the way, is the one from their 1980 National D2 Championship team.
What's that one?
Where it's got a bowl that spells out the word Mavericks.
Yeah, they've used that.
Yeah, they have used that.
That thing's phenomenal. Fantastic. That is phenomenal.
The worst one, by the way, since we're ripping Mankato here, we talked about it off air. The classic Minnesota Duluth 1980s road jersey,
yes,
where it was Minnesota Duluth with the number in the middle
and some white and gold striping, really good.
In about late 2000s, I want to say, Minnesota State comes out with a Minnesota State with the number in the middle. Knock it off.
Really, dead copy.
Now you're just.
They've had some good uniforms. I saw one online just today. Actually, it was the New York Rangers.
Yep,
LA Kings.
That was a good look.
Oh, it was hideous, and it was a good price too. And I just like no, not buying that. It's too ugly. I already have one ugly one. I'm waiting on a good one. So, all right, on to UMD. Ty Hansen has had 3 games with 3 assists. Well, he says, no, I'm getting bored of 3 assists. I want the real deal. Tell us what happened, Sydney.
Yeah, so UMD splits with Omaha, 5-2 win Friday, 2-0 loss Saturday. Like you said, Ty Hansen hat trick Friday. Zam have 3 assists, and also Joey Pierce a goal. I don't see that every game, so that's cool. And they outshot Omaha pretty handily too, so nice win Friday. But then Saturday, Omaha comes back, wins 2-0. And instead of their normal netminder, Simon Latkozy, they actually put in Dawson Cowan in net, and he had a 32-save shutout. Omaha's kind of sneaky. I mean, I think they're hovering right around after the 20 rank mark for the polls. Like they're constantly in my poll, like 21 to 23. I feel like I don't think I can put Omaha in the top 20, but they're close. So they split. But the big news of the weekend, you guys, was that the Maroon Loon is back.
Let's hear it, Jess. Let's hear it. I didn't know what the Maroon Loon was until Will Peterson in the penalty box up in Mora goes, the Maroon Loon's back. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he went, oh, my God. And he gave me a small history lesson. I'm like, oh, Lord, I can only wait till Monday when Jess gets to tell me everything about how Jess sewed the costume when he was there or something. Right?
So, quick history lesson.
Here we go. Here we go.
1980s. When UMD had its first kind of rise to national prominence, won its first WCHA title, went to the national championship game in '84, they had a mascot called the Maroon Loon, which is exactly what it says it is. It's a loon, the symbol of the state of Minnesota, but it's maroon with a big gold beak. A couple different people over the years have been the Maroon Loon. My friend Brian Hadrick was there when I was in school. Beloved mascot. Now, for whatever reason, it went away. Bad idea. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, they got rid of the Maroon Loon, and they've had Champ the Bulldog, and Champ is fine. I will say once in the era when I was in school, late 80s, early 90s, they actually had two mascots. They had Champ the Bulldog, and then they had the Maroon Loon. I got in a little spat in the school newspaper with the guy who played Champ the Bulldog, the guy who wore the suit.
Yep.
And part of it was in print. I referred to him as UMD's second string mascot. He didn't care for that.
The backup.
Yeah, the backup mascot, the emergency backup mascot.
E-bum.
Yeah, E-bum.
E-bum.
So anyway.
So is the Maroon Loon the E-bum or is Champ the E-bum?
So flash forward to this weekend. They hyped it up.
Yeah.
1 weekend only. We're bringing the Maroon Loon back. But for 1 weekend only, I mean, there were T-shirts, there were jerseys you could buy, there were pennants, everything. So I think, the way marketing works is they're going to say, it's the demand has been so high. It's such a, we're going to keep the Maroon Loon. So anyway, start of the game.
Can the Maroon Loon and Champ be on the ice at the same time? Can they coexist?
I think so. I think they can coexist.
Yeah.
Now, in nature, if you put a bulldog and a loon in a room together, it's not going to end well for the loon.
The loon is in trouble.
Yeah, the loon's in trouble. But anyway, this was the highlight of the weekend for a lot of people. I talked to Derek Plant last night. He
cares.
His kid has a goal. Victor, his youngest son, just committed to the UMD. Shocking news.
Yeah,
Who saw that coming? And all anybody wanted to talk about is the loon is back, the Maroon Loon. So the beloved UMD mascot.
When you talked to Derek, did you actually talk to him about the word Maroon Loon?
Yes.
No way. Yes, what did he say?
I just said, because we talked about the weekend. He said the ice was really tilted. The Saturday night game, they just couldn't buy a goal, and I said, well, the biggest news is the Loon's back, and he just lights up. Just
I love it. I love it.
So for Bulldog fans and Bulldog alumni of a certain era, this is a really big deal. The Loon is back. I mean,
I love that.
And let's face it, it's Bemidji's got a beaver, and Wisconsin's got a badger, and the Gophers have a gopher, and the St. Cloud has Blizzard T Husky.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a mascot that matches their nickname.
And you guys got
UMD's doing something different.
They got a loon.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, talk about going off the rails. But that phone call, I'm happy to report your son, Jake Sozel, got a job offer.
I know. I was hoping it wasn't the opposite.
Congrats, Jake.
He's called me 4 times.
He's calling everybody. He wants to let us know.
And I'm like, please, God, give him a job. And he is currently employed. He's now upgraded his new job. So that's great. It's kind of like going from the Rink Live to the Pioneer Press for Jess. It's just a huge upgrade here, right?
Since we're talking mascots, I just need to tell a quick story.
All right, here we go.
So North Dakota, for years, was the Fighting Sioux.
Really? I wasn't aware.
Yeah. If you go up there, you might see a mention of it.
Okay.
Yeah. They, as far as I know, when I started following college hockey in 1984, they never had any kind of Native American mascot, anything like that.
No, I don't either.
Some schools did.
Yeah.
War Road High School used to have, a person,
we had one. Southwest had one.
In a headdress and
headdress, the whole deal.
I don't recall North Dakota ever doing that, but I do. I'm assuming at some point in North Dakota's history, there was a.
They went no.
Yeah, there probably was at some point, but as people got a little more culturally sensitive, they went away from that. But in the late 1980s, somebody got the idea that we're going to have a mascot at North Dakota. And they had a green gorilla.
I like that.
It was called
Bring that back.
Thunder or something like that. The green gorilla had a big long pink tongue.
Really?
Had it at a bunch of games. For whatever reason, it didn't last. So, but this is what I love.
And this is actually when the Sioux were kind of going backwards a little bit.
Got into a debate on social media with a North Dakota fan, I want to say 5 years ago, about, the whole nickname, mascot, yada, yada. And he said, well, North Dakota has never had a mascot. And I said, that's absolutely not true.
Do you have a picture of it?
I don't have pictures, but
gotta find it.
The internet is not helping.
But this is one of the great social media debates you get into. I said, in the late 80s, they had a green gorilla. And the guy says, oh, yeah, I remember that. I never really thought of that as a mascot, though. And I said, "Did you think of that as like a primate expert? What was your envision of?"
He was head of security.
Did it have a jersey on?
Oh yeah.
Oh, then it's a mascot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a mascot. Yeah.
The Twins, by the way, had a loon briefly as a mascot. Twinkie the Loon.
Terrible.
And a
terrible.
little more maroon loon history since we're on this topic. The Minnesota North Stars hired the maroon loon. I want to say late 80s to do a few playoff games and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, the maroon loon was
they had a shooting star mascot. My friend Blake Martin was the shooting star during their 91 run. So
there you go.
It's mascot season here. Is Sydney even on the call? I wonder. This poor woman just sitting up there.
I am on the call, but I'm gonna have to limit your stories because I can hear my daughter in the background.
We gotta go.
Okay, we gotta wrap this up.
St. Thomas beats St. Cloud.
Borrowed time. Borrowed time.
St. Thomas beats St. Cloud 3-1. Let's go.
We still got a little bit of time, but so St. Thomas played 2 games, kind of random. They played St. Cloud Tuesday and then played Augustana Saturday, I think it was. So kind of weird.
Totally weird. How did Augustana come up for one game?
I think St. Thomas went
but
down.
How did they arrange it to be a one-gamer? That's so weird.
I don't know, but they played St. Cloud, and I get that because they always do like a home and home, and they wanted to wait till the new arena was done. So I get that.
Yep.
But so St. Thomas wins that game Tuesday night. I got to say, as a Huskies fan, after the first 5 minutes, they looked like they could care less about playing in that game. They looked not good at all. Austin Bernovic scored right away, and then St. Thomas kind of had all the momentum pretty much the entire rest of the game. So not great for the Huskies, except Werner Miettinen is back from injury. Some pluses, though. Attila Lepai, first collegiate goal. Shout out.
Love it.
Lucas Wallen got his 100th point. He's the first St. Thomas player to do so. That's really cool. And just watching that game, their transfer, I want to say it was from Harvard, Alex Gaffney. Wow, he was a really good player, just a pest on the forecheck. And I had a lot of fun watching that guy on Tuesday. I didn't really know anything about him, but he seems like a great player for them. Also, Coach Blasi got his 450th win as well on Tuesday. So a lot of positives.
Rico. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
A lot of positives.
Cool milestone.
Looks like Will Ingman's getting the net at St. Thomas, too. That's a pretty good take.
I have a little side note for this game. This was the Tuesday game. Believe it or not, Andrew was telling me this, photographer was there. For the first, 2 periods, the basketball lights were on instead of the hockey lights. So the corners were very dark, and then the neutral zone was just blasted with light.
Really?
Yeah, and I think they fixed it in between the second and third periods.
Working a few bugs out. New
building. Absolutely. Yep. I remember watching Alex Gaffney play. He played for a New Jersey. I can't remember the name of it. Some New Jersey team, and they played down at Shattuck. I remember going there to watch a couple other kids from Shattuck to play, and I was like, "This Gaffney kid is really good." He was the best player on the ice. I just remember that that was one of the standout moments. I'm like, wonder what ever happened to him. And yeah, he ended up at Harvard, and now he's at St. Thomas. What a small world.
Attila Lippi, by the way, in addition to having one of the great names
of all time.
Yeah, good player at Cretin. And, when he committed, I kind of gave him a little bit of crap. I'm like, wow, he went a long way from home there. What, about 2 miles from Cretin's campus? But good for him, getting his first goal.
Yeah, and his sister played there at St. Thomas as well. I don't know where his brother Vezi's ended up. He's got a brother named Sylvester, but everyone calls him Vezi.
Sure.
I don't know where he ended up. Keep going.
I'm going to call him Sly just to be different.
Yeah,
that's how
cool.
I roll, though.
I like it.
Yeah, Alex Gaffney too, kind of crazy. His career high at Harvard for a season was 16 points, and he already has 15 points in 11 games for the Tommies to lead the team.
Out.
So that's crazy. Just kind of breakout year for him. Otherwise, then St. Thomas goes to Augustana. They tie them. St. Thomas, a couple of Minnesotans with goals. Nick Williams had 2. Brasini, Augustana, Trombley had a goal. Howard had a goal. I think that was his first of the season. And Will Engelman got the net both nights for St. Thomas. I know they've been kind of splitting between all of their, I want to say it's 3 goalies they have. But Engelman kind of getting the start here lately, which is crazy because I think he's a freshman, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
was
that's cool.
Was that a kid? Yep. You know what that is? That's just coaches don't like to think about goaltending. Oh, you won the last game? Yeah, you play again.
Right.
They just, nobody, unless you're a goalie coach, there's not a coach anywhere that likes to ponder what am I going to do in net. They just want to plug one guy in there, have him take the reins, not think about it. All of that.
What if the coach was a goalie? I think they probably care a little bit more.
Maybe.
How would you like to play goalie for Patrick Waugh? That'd be hard.
Yeah. Just go do what I did.
Exactly.
Remember how Michael Jordan couldn't coach in the NBA because his only advice was, what I would have done there is
what I would have done.
Dribbled through 9 guys and scored, but you can't do that, I guess. Yeah.
Apparently. All right, Denver wins the gold pan. That's how do you get the gold pan?
Well, Denver and CC always play every single year. So that's always a big rivalry game. So I just had some notables.
Wait, hang on. Wouldn't you have to play 4 games to get the gold pan?
I don't know. I just threw that in there. I'm not sure.
I think it's one of those deals where if you have it,
or they keep going the gold pan series, I guess. But if you win the first 2, I think you're probably going to win.
Yeah, if you have it and you get a win and a tie, you keep it because the other team, the best they can do is 2 wins, whatever, something like that.
So in the next series, if Colorado College sweeps Denver, they get the pan back.
I think so.
Okay, I'm down with that.
I don't know the rules of it, but we had a couple of really weird scores this weekend. It seems like everybody except Michigan State in the top 20 split. So I'll just read these, and if any of them stick out to you, let me know. But Denver, like we said, that wasn't crazy, but they beat CC both nights. One was in overtime. Providence split with Merrimack, not great for the Friars. Michigan whoops Penn State Friday, then loses the next day. That's kind of a trend, it seems like, around college hockey for some of these games.
How much did how much did Penn State need that win, by the way, having lost 3 in a row and not close in those 3 games? So Penn State coming into Minnesota this weekend, but huge for them to just get a little bit of their mojo back.
I agree.
Yeah, and BC, kind of a bounce-back weekend. They sweep UMass 7-3 and 4-0. Northeastern, who has been hot, UConn
not anymore.
Beats them 4-3, so not anymore, I guess.
Those Huskies cooled off in a hurry, and good for UConn. I mean, for people who don't know, Eastern program, obviously well-known from basketball, new rink, made a real commitment to hockey there, and let's face it, you're right between Boston and New York City, and those are 2 markets that produce a hockey player or 2.
A lot of hockey
good
players.
For them.
Yep, I agree.
Ohio State, big win, 5-1 over Wisconsin Friday, and then Wisconsin comes back Saturday, but they have to win in overtime, so a couple good conference points for the Buckeyes. They're another team that's kind of hovering 19-20 or like 21 through 24 in the polls, so they're hovering right there. Quinnipiac beats BU 6-2. Western Michigan sweeps Miami. And then another weird one, Maine beats Vermont like 7-rip Friday and then loses 2-1 Saturday. So I think sometimes, you have those bad losses. I'm sure your coach is not happy, and then you come back and you push back and you win. So a couple weird scores around college hockey this weekend.
I thought that was one of the strangest ones, the Vermont win. I thought that was odd.
you texted me, I want to say it was like Sunday morning or something. There was a guy for Colgate that had 5 goals, but I saw a tweet from somebody, Mike McMahon, I think, that said there was just a ton of hat tricks around college hockey this weekend, but Colgate had a guy that had 5 goals this weekend, so shout out to him.
Simon LaBelle.
Yeah, never heard of him before you texted me that, but cool.
I just thought it was interesting. Like I was going through all those scores, and I just pulled up the Colgate score because there's always, my eyes were open because there's a lot of Minnesota kids in the team. All of a sudden, LaBelle. I'm like, God, that kid had a ton of goals.
Simon LaBelle. It sounds like he's got to be French Canadian, huh?
Probably.
Or the lead singer for Duran Duran. One of the two.
Either one.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that name pop up.
You've gone too far this time.
Oh, you were ready for that.
Yeah. So that was kind of some results. Another piece of news, Cole Eiserman back for BU, so that was a big one. I don't really need to talk about anything Spengler Cup related, but the Collegiate Selects roster is set if you want to go look at it, but I don't think there's any other Minnesotans added, so nothing too crazy. And then just Summit scores and APX. Tony, I don't know if you had a specific person you wanted to talk about. I thought maybe I would talk about APX alum Jake Sondriel, who's on the scores list this weekend. He had 2 goals, which is kind of cool to see.
Which is awesome for him. He has a twin brother, Zach, and just so you know, in the youth days, Zach was always the premier Sondriel, and Jake was the one who worked out every day and got better and better. And a lot of that working out was at APX Hockey. So credit to APX for helping Jake along in his training process, and now he's at BC. He's a sophomore, and he's scoring. He's not in the Garrett Shifsky zone yet, but he's scoring way more frequently than I would have predicted in his first 2 years at BC.
Yeah, fun fact, Jake actually has 11 points in 11 games, which is the same amount of points as James Hagen, and tied for the lead in scoring for BC right now.
Yes. I love hearing that.
Crazy.
And there's 4 Sondriel brothers, and of course one is always in the youth rink at all times. So when in doubt, I see his parents, saw his dad Pat up at the Blue Ox this weekend for quite a bit.
Yeah, I know Gray was one of the players of the month for us, like this summer at some point. So there's plenty of them coming up through the rank. Yeah. Well, I don't know then, kind of moving on, if you had any Summit scores you wanted to talk about before we talk about upcoming games. Not a ton of like people that weren't on there in the past, especially ones we haven't talked about, besides Will Traeger, BC, first collegiate goal.
I thought that was incredible. Like he's been on that, cool. He's just hung on and been in that roster for, that's amazing, I think.
But I didn't have really any other guys that are guys we hadn't already talked about, or guys that aren't, regulars on this list.
I'm trying to, I got a couple on here. Sully Sholey, have we talked about him before?
I think he's been on the thing a couple of times. I feel like he's had a couple of goals this year.
He's a Maine kid. He scored. I thought that was a good one.
Great name, by the way.
Sully Sholey. I remember him. He played for Chaska Chan, and he played for Dave Snuggerud at Chaska High School.
I think he played at, might have been a New Mexico Ice Wall.
I think he might have been.
Yeah.
He definitely was a Null kid. That's about the only one that really jumps. We already talked about Teddy Townsend. I think Nick Williams is a good story, coming back from Michigan Tech and getting a couple goals at St. Thomas. I think that's cool too.
And then just before we kind of start to wrap up here, because we might have another college poll, but Jess, you should send me your poll so we have 3 polls to go off of instead of me and Tony's only, and then we can post it to the Twitter.
I've been lacking in my poll.
He hasn't polled yet.
Same reason I got kicked off the USCHO poll 2 years ago.
Really?
I missed too many of them.
So there's a stream of missed polls here. So it's not just us. Is what you're saying?
No, it's not just you.
Is it because it's too hard? We should have a little counseling here. Is it just too hard?
Don't take it personally. It's not you. It's me.
So
it is. It's not easy.
We'll wait a day and we'll see if Jess can do one. Otherwise, I'll post Tony and I's averages, but they're fairly similar. But Tony, yeah, you got some Western bias in yours, I think.
Take me down. Take me down. What do you mean? I didn't put Ohio State in. As I said in our text string, I think Ohio State would beat all the teams in the bottom 5, but I just haven't done anything for me yet.
Yeah, it's really tough. So we'll see if we get through that here. But some upcoming games, I'll run through these. If there's any you guys think are interesting, let me know. There's not a ton of super crazy games this weekend. I'd say one of the big ones is going to be, Minnesota and Penn State. Obviously, we know Penn State's been up and down, and it'd be big if the Gophers can steal a couple points from them.
First chance to see Gavin McKenna here in the Twin Cities, too.
Yeah.
I'll be there Friday. How about the fact that they're doing a whiteout versus Penn State?
Oh.
I think that's super cool.
Controversial.
You think, is that controversial?
I don't know. I will not be there. I'll be in Pittsburgh covering the Wild, but
you get a little bit of Pennsylvania anyway.
A little Pennsylvania feel. I can get one of those sandwiches with the French fries in it. That's a big deal.
Permani Brothers.
That's a big one.
Yep.
And another one that kind of piques my interest, at least, is Minnesota State and Michigan Tech, because they're kind of my favorite CCHA team. So I think it'll be good to kind of see if either of them come out on top or if they just split, because they're, I think, the two top CCHA teams right now, although Bemidji's been pretty good lately. So that'll be interesting for me to see who comes out on top between the Mavs and the Huskies. Bemidji State plays Northern Michigan. They'll be looking to take all the points from that one. North Dakota plays a one-game exhibition against the NTDP, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. St. Thomas plays Bowling Green, another CCHA matchup there. And then for NCHC, Minnesota Duluth goes to Colorado College, and St. Cloud State goes to Miami, Ohio. That'll be a big weekend for St. Cloud just because they're going to want to get both of those games for sure, because otherwise you don't want to be below Miami in the NCHC standings this year. So that'll be a big weekend for them.
Hot rumor, by the way.
Here we go. I like
Chasing a rumor. Will Dosen, who led St. Thomas Academy offensively last season, he was originally committed to one of the Ivies.
Ooh, I like this.
Decommitted from there.
Bring it on.
That first series, that Bemidji State Northern Michigan series.
Yeah, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on their Twitter feeds.
Keep an eye on those two schools.
Okay.
I'm hearing that one of them is kicking the tires on Will Dosen.
I like that.
He might wind up back in the Midwest.
You work for the Pioneer Press. Can you just say a little birdie? Just say a little birdie once.
See, I think my good friend Shooter, I'm pretty sure he's got that trademark.
Okay, good.
I may have to buy.
How about a little loon? A maroon loon has heard.
A maroon loon has heard. Yeah. So yeah. No, I'm hearing and good for Will. Good player. Obviously, maybe wasn't. Yeah, a little over his skis. Originally committed to the Ivy League, but yeah, he sounds.
Well, he's a Bloomington kid, so I'm a big fan of Will's.
Sounds like he's got some stuff to give.
Any further notes from the note giver, Sydney?
I do not have any further notes, which is good because I think I'm going to have to go here in a few minutes. So if you guys have to keep talking or have any other thoughts.
No, we're good. We're ready to wrap it up. We can put a wrap on this one. We will post our poll later this week, maybe tomorrow, Tuesday. For Ryan Maney, Sydney Wolf, Jess Myers, I'm Tony Scott. Thanks for tuning into This Week in College Hockey.